Let's just say you happen to turn out like a swimsuit issue babe. Blonde, alluring, skimpily attired. Then you might think cruelty and disappointment would pass over your particular patch of beach. But the genetically gifted, of course, aren't inoculated. They're just like the rest of us. They, too, sometimes turn to the internet for life, liberty, and pursuit of the really good guy your friends all tell you so richly deserve. This is a story about a group of, by any measure, attractive, successful women who decided not just to click on the worldwide wheel of fortune, but to dive headlong where its arrow pointed. It conjured exotic places they'd only dreamt of, air-kissing the biggest stars in the world, and how sweet it would be to open plump earning statements every month from your soaring investments. The right guy could make it virtually all happen.
Music is my passion. It's my life.
Meet Nicole Tyndall from Detroit, now living in Florida, poised and on the threshold of making it in an industry of sharp elbows, the music biz.
It's what I live and die for.
Former Baywatch actor, bikini model, accomplished producer-performer of electronic dance tracks, and singer. If you want to get in touch with her, as many thousands have, you can find Nicole online. Just as a certain music producer called Paul Kruger did.
He found me through my website. He approached me with the whole music thing. I think you're talented. We have a lot in common.
In Paul's eChat introduction, he explained he was an experienced music producer with his own studio in Souderton, Pennsylvania. He knew the biggies.
Clive Davis, Quincy Jones, Babyface. He worked with Beyonce. He's currently working in Scotland with Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. Dude, you name it, man. He knew him.
Right. But you're not saying, oh, come on, you're full of it. Dude.
I'm not going to say that to somebody, you know what I'm saying?
As the online stars aligned, Paul emailed that he wanted to collaborate with Nicole. So she did the old-fashioned thing and phoned him, and he gave her his pitch.
I would like to do some remixes. I have new material. I know all these people, different producers that it's hard to get in touch with.
You know the business. Was he
Yeah.
talking your business? Were you speaking the same language?
In this business, it's all networking. I'd love to say it's so how talented you are,
Right.
But when it comes right down to it, it's who you know.
And Nicole wanted to know this Paul person from online, now her regular phone pal.
Well, he was very flamboyant. He was just, very perky and happy-go-lucky and always laughing. Good energy.
Charming guy, Paul Kruger, but Nicole was cautious. After all, who knows who anyone really is online?
I Googled him, and I'm thinking, why isn't he coming up? Maybe I'm spelling his name wrong.
So you're putting in Quincy Jones, Clive Davis, Paul Kruger,
Yeah.
and nothing's coming up.
Yeah.
When Nicole quizzed him, Paul was only too happy to fill in some blanks. First came a photo of himself, sophisticated, good-looking, and tuxed up at the Grammys when he tried not to brag he'd been nominated. But chasing his successful music career had left his personal life in tatters. His marriage, with a wife and teenage daughter, hitting the rocks.
I can relate to the way the engineers work. They're always in the studio, 24/7, and I can see how that could really wreck a marriage.
So you really became friends and talked about your own lives back and forth? And
Yeah. He seemed like a very lonely man. I sympathized with him. I wanted to be there for him.
And he offered her just that chance, a business deal. He could place Nicole and her music with an indie label about to break it big.
He approached me with putting me on his label that he was doing with Clive Davis.
The Clive Davis, music producer extraordinaire, with his armload of Grammys and an eye for spotting up-and-coming talent that earned him a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and a featured role as mentor every season at the conclusion of American Idol. Paul Kruger was offering Nicole what just might be her breakthrough opportunity.
I was interested in the whole strong, independent label because we had established a relationship on the phone. I trusted him.
Nicole sent him samples of her dance tracks, and Paul called back with good news.
He had said, I just got back from Clive Davis's office in New York City. I give him your package. He loves the material, but he wants more material.
Jazzed by the interest, Nicole went back to the studio. Paul, meanwhile, said he was preparing for his next gig at the Grammys, this time as a backing artist.
He said he was doing ushers, mixing while he was on stage. I'm thinking, that's pretty cool. And I'm like even watching the Grammys like, oh, maybe I'll see Paul.
And then it all turned into a slow dance. Paul wasn't getting Nicole's new track spotted and onto a label. Maybe he suggested if he and Nicole put their heads together under a palm tree with some rum drinks and coconuts, they could figure out their next move together.
He said something about going on vacation, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. No, I never had any interest in him in a dating sense.
Paul got it that the romance thing was going to be a non-starter, so he focused on their business collaboration.
He told Nicole he knew all the ins and outs of the money side of the entertainment industry, and he could get Nicole a piece of the action. He proposed that Nicole become one of his indie artists, and then she could share in the expected fat proceeds from his startup DVD business. The getting-in price, $10,000.
I've lost money before, and he said, take 10 grand and I can guarantee that we can make it into $1 million.
Struggling musician as she was at the time, Nicole couldn't afford the full 10 grand up front. So she wired Paul $5,000 in 2 installments.
Everything was to be done in his name. I just did the wire transfers.
So the money went from your account to his?
Yes. I'll be able to flip it in a total of 3 years and make you $1 million. It's called a 3-year plan.
After she wired her money, though, Paul, strangely, became harder to contact. But then she knew his life was so hectic. He'd vanish for months at a time, what with his overseas producing and all.
He said he traveled a lot, too. He was just in Scotland with Michael Jackson, and he's going back.
But when Paul completely dropped off the radar, Nicole's never quite resolved doubts about him resurfaced. Who was Paul really? How much of what he told her was true? As strong as their friendship seemed to be, she'd have to test Paul.
So I called him. I said, I have more money to invest. Let me know. And I got a call within 24 hours.
So you don't hear from him when the question is, how are we doing? When
That's-
the question is, would
when
you like some more money from me? He's Johnny on the spot.
Exactly.
But Nicole didn't want to believe any funny stuff was going on. So many of her hopes and dreams rested on Paul, even though she'd never actually met him.
I was like, there's no way. Paul wouldn't do that to me.
But while Nicole was feeling uneasy, a bizarre discovery was just being uncovered in a park in Pennsylvania. And out in California, there was someone named Noelle about to meet Paul and go from online to in-person. Poor Noelle.
And my first impression was, wow, you've changed.